Good evening, or we say good afternoon, good late afternoon, or good evening. It depends where you are. My name is Chris Maynard. I'm a professional technician, technologist, and I belong to IPET, Institute of Professional Engineering Technologists. I'm an honorary fellow. I'm also a member of SAT, Society of Asphalt Technology. And I'm also by SAICI, South African Institute of Civil Engineers, a member. I'm also an ECSA assessor, moderator, and interviewer. And as Johan said, it's for IPET, the Institute of Professional Engineering Technologists. Today, we're going to discuss Toolbox 6 will be
Chris, we've lost you.
Consisting A, which we're going to discuss, that is for your register and help you guys. But please remember, it's still your responsibility to check if I'm doing everything correctly. Okay. Can everybody still hear me? I see I get unstable, but right. Today we're going to discuss Group A competency standards required for ECSA registration. Where do I find the information on Group A? What is Group A and outcome 1, 2, 3, and the conclusion and the references? Just remember outcome Group 1, 2, and 3. A lot of applicants battle with this, but we'll discuss this now. Okay, Johan? Next slide. Okay, there are two documents where you can find this, and that is the RO2 STA PEPT, PCE PN. Now, PE is for professional engineer, PT is professional technologist, PCE is for professional certificate engineer, and then PN is for professional technician. So today we're going to concentrate on professional technologist. Now you also got the RO8 PT, which they brought back up onto this there on the ECSA website, and that's your guide for competency standard for registration as a professional engineering technologist, referred to as RO8. Now your website link there is at the bottom. It's basically you go to website and then you go to documents and then you look under your section that says professional technologist. Okay, that is a website link. Next. Next slide, Johan.
I was just giving them a chance to take down the website.
Okay, this is on a website there under item 3.3.2 is a new registration for professional engineering technologists. The two documents you can see is RO2 and RO8. The rest is there also that you must read through them. They are good background, unless you want the E17 PRO, that is for foreign qualifications, the recognition of there. Okay, and how you go. But if you haven't got a BTEC, but you've got a qualification from another country, you have to go through that process. Okay, next slide, Johan. Okay, what is Group A? Group A is known as the knowledge-based engineering problem solving section. So please remember that. This is a section where you must be able to demonstrate the following: how to apply your theoretical and practical knowledge, and to identify, to analyze, next slide, Johan, and solve an engineering problem at the level of a broadly defined level of engineering activity. Now, Group A consists of outcome 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Next. Now, important note, which I'm telling now, and this is there. Before attempting to complete your application, look in the ECSA document RO2, what is defined and characteristics of a broadly defined engineering problem. It's on page 12. There, it will ask, you got questions to answer, and then you can determine if you are working at a broadly defined engineering problem. Okay, next slide. Now, what is outcome 1? Now, this is what you got there written in your document, your application, your engineering report says outcome 1. It says define, investigate, and analyze broadly defined engineering problems. Now, if you see, I've written there, highlighted, define, investigate, and analyze. Those are your key words. Now, define, that is sub-item 1.1. What is a problem at a broadly defined engineering activity? What do you identify? What is your problem that you saw there? Investigate, 1.2. How did you attempt and what information did you collect to solve the broadly defined engineering problem identified in above 1.1? So remember, keep to the same period. Next slide, Johan. Then analyze. Now, analyze is 1.3. Look at the information collected. Here you make assumptions to solve the problem identified. Look again at sub-item 1.1. In simple terms, what was the problem? How did you collect the information? And how did you use this information with certain engineering assumptions to achieve the solution or solutions? Next slide, Johan. This is known as the section where the problem is identified. Remember, use only one period when discussing this section. Now, ensure it covers outcome 1, 2, 3, but there's also a hint here. Outcome 1, 2, and 3, and 9 and 10 are all interlinked. This is, you must remember that. So if you look at there, what that comes out of your application form for engineering report, it says outcome 1, define, investigate, analyze broadly defined engineering problems. There you see state, which is define. There state how you performed and investigated. There's a word up top there. And describe how you performed or contributed to analyzing the engineering problem using conceptual, justified assumptions, limitations, and evaluation of your results. So if you look on your right-hand side, there's period number, period number, period number. Use the same period with that. Just use one. As I said previously, you will do your TER. That is your brag wall. Here we want to see your competency. So you don't need to brag about it. You choose one project or one period and you discuss it. Next slide, Johan. Okay, what is outcome 2? If you read the outcome 2 is design or develop a solution to broadly defined engineering problems. Now, important to know, outcome 2 is normally demonstrated after the problem was defined and analyzed in outcome 1. So you can see there's an interlink. Now describe 2.1. How did you use this information collected to begin your design, develop a solution, and check for impacts and sustainability? Okay, so this is where you use your practical knowledge and your theoretical knowledge together. Now design. That is 2.2. How did you design or develop a solution by systematically looking at various solutions? Now, what I mean by various solutions is when you're designing, you do not just get the first design you do is a solution. You look at the various designs and you say to yourself a question you ask, what if I change? Would it be more better? Would it why? And then this is where you asked, why was the solution preferred against the various solutions? Why did you choose it? Because it was maybe easier to build, or was it financially viable, or was it serviceability? That you have to be able to answer yourself. Specification is 2.3. Now, when you do a design, you don't just do the drawing, you actually specify what material you're going to use and how did it become and what will you do. You don't just say, I want a pump and that's it. You tell them exactly what you want. That is what we're looking for in specification. What specifications did you base your design on? In summary of the outcome is, what impact did your preferred solution have? What specifications did you draw on as basis of your solution? Next slide, Johan. Now you will see this is where it comes out of your document. Outcome 2, design, develop a solution to a broadly defined engineering problem. If you look there, 2.1, is describe how you designed or developed. Now, 2.2, the word there is systematically synthesize the solution and alternative solutions or approaches. Then 2.3, state your part in drawing up of detailed specifications required and design documentation for implementation to the satisfaction of the client. So this is where you put on your drawings what you specified, what you want, and also in your tender document or in your design report. So but that's why I say you keep outcome 1 and 2 together. It's easier. It's very difficult to do a design if you're doing something of another period. So you keep your periods together, 1 right through. Next slide, Johan. Now, what is outcome 3? Outcome 3 states, comprehend and apply the knowledge embodied in widely accepted and applied engineering procedures and processes, systems or methodologies, and those specific to the jurisdiction in which you practice. So if you're doing, for instance, in civil, you're doing transportation, do not try and think you can do structures. Keep to your field of what you know. So what technical knowledge did you identify in the field of practice applicable and well established irrespective of location? This is 3.1 that you have to know. This is where you've learned your technical knowledge and your practical, and you mesh them together to get your solution. Okay, does your working knowledge in your field of practice interact with other disciplines, engineering and other? That's 3.2. Good example to use, if you're going to go and put the man on the moon, is it just going to be the rocket scientists that are going to do? You're going to use electrical engineers, you're going to use mechanical engineers, you're going to use geotechnical engineers, you're going to use civil engineers, and you're going to use structural and others, and also you're going to use project managers to get it on time. So remember that. Next slide, Johan. Okay, now 3.3. What is your jurisdictional knowledge inclusive of legal and regulatory requirements, including relevant codes of practice? So this is where you look at your design, you look at the standards, the building codes, if you're going to do buildings. If you're going to do electrical design, you're going to look at your electrical codes. If you're doing fire design, you're going to look at your fire codes. And also what is required in the various municipalities or local authorities, you're going to use their codes also. Okay, now the knowledge you discussed here is the relevant technical, working and jurisdictional knowledge that are applicable to your field of practice. Now the hint, use the same period as you used in outcome number 1, as what I've been emphasizing. So remember, outcome 1, 2, 3 are interlinked. Now, this is how your document will look. So you got outcome 1, 2 or 3. Now you come to 3 is comprehend and apply the knowledge embodied in a widely accepted and applied engineering procedures and processes, systems or methodologies, and those specific to the jurisdiction in which you practice, which means where you are practicing your knowledge that you're using. If you look at 3.1, it's an application of BTEC theory you apply in your practice area with your experience. And this is where you indicate your working knowledge of areas that interact with your practice area to underpin teamwork. This is where you work with other disciplines. Now, the 3.3 is your applied related knowledge of finance, statutory, safety, and management. So this is where you do your management, your safety, and finances. How do you control it? You can do it either through your contract document and with your schedule, or your schedule of quantities, your payment certificates, and the various laws that are applicable there. Okay, Johan, next one. Okay, in conclusion, today we discussed the requirements of Group A. Group A consists of outcome 1, 2, and 3. And again, I can't stress enough, remember to use only one period for these 3 outcomes, and also for 9 and 10, you must also use the same period. It's easier for you to handle. Okay, here is a picture of what you call the front page of RO2, that you know where it is, how it looks. Next slide, Johan. And then the references is the RO2 document and the engineering report for application form, and also RO8. So, as I said, presented by IPET, Institute of Professional Engineering Technologists. You can find us on the www.ipet.org.za. Next slide, Johan. And I think we got, this is your engineering report, how it looks. And that's how your B, that's form B2.3 ER, and that's the top part of it. So this is one of your critical documents that you will have to do. Okay, next slide, Johan. Okay, and for everybody, thank you. Any questions? The next presentation will be designing and group B that we will talk. What is designing and group B? So for previous presentations, you can go to the website of professionalcpd.co.za, and there's also what is written here. You can join the IPET group, job or registration advice groups, and there's your, just SMS your name and also say which groups you want to join to 073 336 2471. Okay, and that's it. And any questions? And that's it. So we can go over to questions. I think if Adrian's here, he can do his presentation on leadership. Adrian, are you here? It doesn't look like he's in yet. Ah, he is. Adrian, you can do your presentation. Adrian?
My Wi-Fi is actually quite bad. Could you hear me?
Yes, we can
you hear me, Chris?
Fine. Yes, we can hear you. You're fine. You can go on. Carry on, Adrian.
Is there not questions? Okay.
Now what
Must
I said
go for
is,
it first?
Yes, I said after that, then we'll take questions, Adrian. So you can go for it.
Oh, okay, because we broke off. Okay, thank you for your presentation. And as I always tell you guys, it's always great being with you on these forums, and it's very practical. So thank you so much. Yeah, you know, it's a learning process, leadership, and one grows through experience and lessons learned, etc. But the one that I always go back to is that leaders have obstacles in our projects, or things don't go the way it should. I remember still when I was a lot younger, and it was a turnkey project in the city. And yeah, there were so many challenges, and the penalties were great. And I was obviously one of the youngest on the whole project team. So yeah, I felt a lot of pressure and being challenged in that moment. But from that time, and even through my career, and I still do this, is I keep coming back to what is the vision? What is it I'm aiming for? What is that project? What is the goal of that project? What is the specification? What are the standards? And keep focusing on, because I found if one loses focus, then you kind of drift off track and you lose that focus, and then you lose the priorities. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts around that leaders have vision. And I was fortunate enough to look at a documentary on Abraham Lincoln, and maybe just to highlight this, I didn't know much about him. I just knew the Americans have a particular, how can I say, they're very positive about him. You know, when I met the one American long time ago, and I mentioned Abraham Lincoln, and his whole face lit up, and he spoke for quite some time. But after looking at the documentary, I realized that he was someone that had vision, and it didn't go easy for him. You know, I'm just going to read a few things here for the sake of time. It says at 21, he failed at business. He was defeated in the legislative race at 22. He failed again in business at 24. When he was 24, he overcame the death of his sweetheart at age 26. He had a nervous breakdown at 27, lost a congressional race at 34, lost again. I won't go through all this whole article, but then he lost a whole lot of times. And then eventually he becomes president at 52. And we know there's a couple of things that he succeeds in. Is the abolishment of slavery, the protection of the union. And so he set quite a foundation for American politics on just his resilience. And so he had that in his heart, and he grew up in very poor circumstances as well. So it wasn't always easy for him. Yeah, and I think applying solutions, one has to applications, understanding what the end goal.
Johan, can you just put your video off, maybe your
and then
sound off?
Can you hear me still?
Will the broadband
Yeah, so
help? Yeah.
I think I wanted to say that, yeah, I'm nearly done. I'm nearly done on this. I think with tonight's topic, it reminded me a lot of having vision, but also planning ahead. Planning, you know, if you've got a good plan for what you have or what you have to solve, when those problems come, then you've got a good grasp of how to solve. But if you don't, it becomes very big on you, the problem. So yeah, I just then, you know, when it's getting tough and there's big challenges and the problems are there, just keep that focus, keep that vision, and build around it, and build those priorities, and keep that focus. And then I think you'll be a lot calmer and dealing with challenges on site and getting through those times. So that's it for me for now. And so thank you for the talk. And yeah, maybe we could talk more of this at another stage. So over to you guys.
Okay, it's just, can I make a comment, Adrian, if you don't mind? Hello?
Carry on, Chris.
Yes,
Okay.
go for it.
What I'm saying is, you know, there's one thing to have a vision, but it's also a great thing to persevere with that vision. Because if you don't persevere, you will not succeed. We've got many examples of people that persevered and got their goals in life, what they wanted. It's not just Abraham Lincoln, but you can look at the guy from the KFC. He's also had a vision of selling it. It came later in life. But if we all just learn to persevere, we will get our goals in life. That's what counts a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I think 100%. That's how one learns, and also solving problems, to be patient, because some problems take a while to solve, and that's how you learn. And you learn from more experienced people and people that have gone down the road. You read up on other specifications, the standards, and then you build a depth in solving problems. And that's what it's about. It's not a quick fix at times. And that's when I think when you write your ECSA report, you bring a maturity in what you're presenting. And I think, yeah, just for the guys, I felt to take heart, you know, it's difficult times out there, so they must just keep going. And thank you. You're so right, Chris. There's so many guys that have gone through so many things, and you guys that have gone ahead, and you've presenting toolboxes for us. So yeah, 100%.
Okay, thanks, Adrian. Johan, jy kan maar oorneem.
Okay, guys, you're welcome to ask questions. Any questions regarding your applications that you've been battling with, or what Chris has been talking about today? Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, carry on.
Yeah, my question is, if you have not been directly involved with the design, but you have been managing the design team, or so you haven't been doing the designs yourself, but you have been managing the design team, or there's a period where you have interacted quite a lot with the design team and have been part of their process, but you have not necessarily done the designs yourself, do you have a chance of registering?
Okay, let me come in there, Johan.
Carry on, Chris.
I need you to answer some questions that I want to ask you quickly. You say you were in charge of the design team. What did you design? What did your team design, if I may ask?
So the team were designing the network designs for electrification projects as one. That is the stream that I was responsible for. So it's distribution networks. There was a team, and we were interacting with the team that was designing substations, specifically and HV lines that will enable the distribution networks.
Okay.
And there's
just one question. I want to ask you something quickly. Hey? You say you were now the manager and you were in charge of that. Am I right?
Okay, so I'm asking for two people. One person was managing the design team. I was the execution manager who was managing the whole life cycle, from planning, design, and ultimately construction and handover to operations. Okay,
now I want to ask you, it's just one question. That's what I'm saying is, although you were there, so if they brought a design to you, you say, no, it's fine, you just rubber stamped it or not? Or did you check it yourself too?
I was part of the review team that reviewed and gave input whether we need to approve that design or not.
Okay, but how did you go about approving it? I'm asking these questions because then you'll get your mindset right in that sense. Did you just say, no, it looks fine, or did you do calculations on your own?
No, the calculations were not done by myself. There was a team that did the calculations. So I looked at, one, what the need was. I looked at the planning, and then I looked at the capacity, demand versus capacity in terms of the numbers. And then I also looked at the existing infrastructure and technology, whether the integration with the design would talk to the existing network. And then
but I'm also just come back to that. You say you're the integration. Did you just go with a checklist, or did you do some design, did some processes and methodologies to solve that?
Can I ask the question slightly differently? How would you know if a design was not suitable?
No, that was not part of my scope.
So you wouldn't know if a design wasn't suitable?
No, not from the calculation point, not.
But you were overseeing it.
I was in the execution team. So you've got a portfolio. That portfolio manages the planning department. It manages the scope of the planning, the scope of the NED, which is network engineering design, and the execution. So you make sure that the project moves from planning stage all the way to construction. But in that process, you've got a design manager that oversees all the designs.
Okay. But what I want to ask there, now you say you made sure that when you got the design, you made sure it was executed. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes,
And you looked after the execution of it.
that's correct.
Okay. Now, what happens now if you've got a problem while you're busy and you pick up there's a design mistake? Because people do make mistakes. How did you go about solving it? Or you just sent the plans back and say they must sort it out? Or did you come up with a solution yourself on site? As I understand, you were more like running between the site and the design team and that.
So then we had what we call a project progress meetings and teams in there. There's an engineering designer. So I would then put together the team back and initiate the process of relooking at the design. And it is the design engineer that will then take the problem statement that we identify on site, go and update the designs. And then they go back to the design review committee for approval. Then we do a change control process. And then the changes are then issued.
Okay, so you didn't do any. So you didn't do any suggestion of how to solve it. You just said this is a problem and they must sort it out. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you got a problem, my dear. I would like you to do now, when you go into a process like that again, look at the problem and try and solve it, and you discuss it with the design engineer. Understand what I say? Because then you are picking up experience, design experience, in the sense that you see the problem and you come up with a few solutions there. Because at the moment, it seems to me you using the role as a project manager. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So basically, to overcome that, if you're doing a design, you've studied hard to get where you are now. Am I correct? With your BTech and to get to, and you would like to become a professional technologist. So the way to solve this is when there is a problem on site with your implementation and you see there's a problem, don't say, no, just give it to somebody else. You look at the problem, you look at your knowledge that you picked up, your academic knowledge, your experience that you picked up on site, your physical experience, and you combine the two and you say, okay, this is a problem. Let me see if I can come up with a solution. You will come up with some certain solutions. And when you're in the meeting, you talk to the design engineer and say, is this correct, the solution? And he will say yes, or she will say yes or no, and they will go and check it and they say, no, you spot on, or we changed this. That's the way you're going to get your design experience without leaving your position as what you are now.
All right, thank you. Thanks. That's
okay,
helpful.
You understand. So you don't just push paper around that. You look at the solution and you go and look further where you can do a solution on that. That's a way in a managerial position, even if we're doing project management. I've got a distinction between project management and engineering project management. Engineering project management is where we look at trying to solve the solution ourselves, and that we still have people overseeing our solution, even if we are registered too. Okay. Does that
Great.
help you?
Yeah, thank you. It does.
That's a pleasure. Zolani, come in. After evening, Zolani. Zolani, you can ask your question. Okay, I see Zolani hasn't answered. So, are you there, Zolani?
Evening, Chris. How are you?
All right, I can't complain.
Yes, I am here. I'm asking, can you? Hello, Chris.
I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. So thanks, guys. Now I have two questions. My first question is that how strict is ECSA? I state that about 100 per criterion, but then there are two criteria that I think I exceeded. It's 1.2 as well as 3.1. And then in terms of 3.1, when you have to write the document that you used, and then
Your connection is very bad.
to write maybe the full name. So I'm asking how strict is ECSA?
Oh, you mean the 100 words? That you can go up to about
okay.
120 words in that. But basically what we do is we look at that, but please don't write pages and pages and pages. As Johan discussed previously, and I myself, we are volunteers. We do this after hours. We do not get paid actually for this. We get a small stipend. That's it. Okay, does that answer your question? That's what I could understand, because your connection is very, very bad.
Oh, okay. Yes. I did hear you clearly.
Okay.
Also, I can add there that the reason for the 100 words is to see if you can summarize. If you need 2 pages to write something, you need to be able to summarize that into a concise 100 words, and that is what we're looking for. If you're not able to do that, it means that maybe you still need a bit of growth before you can register.
Okay, does that answer your question, Zulani?
Okay, Tumelo?
Okay.
Evening, Jan. Thank you. My question is more on the. I think there's a sub outcome there that speaks to the BTech subjects that you might have used to solve, an engineering problem. In my case, I did a BTech in construction management, civil engineering, but in our BTech we did not have a lot of the more technical subjects. But in my experience, of working on site and developing inverted commas on-site designs and whatnot, right? I developed my knowledge by always referring to standards. So what I wanted to ask was, is that something that could work against me when I have to register? The fact that the BTech that I did was not, the sort of technical ones, like your transport, your structural, and all that.
Okay, I just want to ask one question there from you, Tumela. You're working on construction, am I correct? You're not
Yes.
working, you haven't worked with as in a consultancy office at all. So you basically, what are you, a site agent or what are you?
In fact, I worked for consultants, but as an RE.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you're working for a contractor, am I correct?
No, I'm still working for a consultant.
Okay, so you're still working as an RE. One question I'm going to ask you. If there's a drawing and you see there's a mistake in it, but the contractor comes to you and he says to you, I need this to be sorted out now. I need this design to be corrected. Otherwise, the machines are standing, which is quite regular. That's what happens to you. Am I correct?
Yes.
So then you do a design and you look at your design. You look at the design and you look at various options to solve the design with various designs to solve that problem. So only thing that you have to look at there is to make sure that, as what I said, you call it site designs. What is your experience that you picked up for what you've done? I know construction management, you do 2 technical subjects, and the rest it is to do with construction management and project management and those subjects there, financial engineering, financial management, and so forth. But you had to do 2 technical subjects. You might not be using them, But what you picked up on site and what you've learned, the knowledge you've learned, for instance, in your diploma, and you've broadened it up to the level of a technologist, you can use that also. It won't count against you. You must just show your competency. Remember, and this is what I've been trying to explain to everybody, when you're doing your TER, your reports, I mean your training experience reports, those are your brag wall. But now when you're doing your engineering report, that is what you show you can do. You can think of this, you're sitting in an office, a client comes to you and you've got behind you all your diplomas, all your education and all your awards. The client looks at it and says, no, he looks fine. He can do the work. And he comes to you and he says, can you do this work, build this road? You're not going to say, look at all my diplomas and that. Am I right? You're going to say, I can build this road. This is how I'm going to build it. So this is what your engineering report is. It's not a brag wall. It is to show what you can do. If you tell the client, no, look at all my diplomas and my awards and that, is he going to give you the job? He's going to walk out and laugh at you because you haven't shown him that you can do the work. So this is what you do. Okay.
I think the point that Tumelo is making is that he has done, that he has picked up some knowledge to the level of BTech knowledge that other people had done through subjects, through CPD and through experience and through consulting with other people, talking to other people. So in other words, his knowledge is to the right level. And I think he needs to just make sure that he shows that in his report.
That's it. Because if you're working on site, as I said to you, you got the other guys that in the drawing office, they draw and design, but it comes to site, it does not work. You look at options to solve the problem, because one of your responsibilities is to look at the drawings, to look at the design, see if it does make sense. And then what you do is you do your design. Sometimes you've got time, you do it, and you send it back to the office and say, this is what the options is. I've looked at these options, but this is the best option. Approve it. That's what you do. That you're allowed to do. And if you're not done a subject there, because it does happen, there's people that come for interviews. They've been trained in transportation engineering, but they're doing structural engineering. They're doing structural design. We do not hold it against you. If you've done your experience, show your competencies, you've done your training courses, and then you're allowed to do that, because nothing is cast in stone. Because you might have thought, I can do structures, but later on in life you find that the structure market is overcome. You thought it was nice, but you found out water engineering is much better and you enjoy it. You do not get penalized against that at all. You show your competency of what you've been trained in practicality there. Okay. Does it help you?
No, thank you. You're on first. Yeah, no, it does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay, Muketsi is the next one is Muketsi.
Good evening to everyone. Good evening, Chris. Good evening, Johan.
Good evening.
My question is based on the periods with which we're supposed to divide our TERs into. Should I divide the periods into a year, or the significance of the amount of work I've done, or the levels that basically one goes through from assisting all the way to being performing? To give a background, I've been in a mechanical design office close to a year now. I'm very ambitious, Chris, in that I want to submit for application in 3 years or 3.5. So looking at the form, the application form, I looked at the different forms from different people. So I was wondering to say, what would be the advice on dividing the TER periods? That's my first question. Hello, am I coming through?
Looks like we've
I think
lost
Chris
Chris.
disappeared.
Chris, are you still there?
I don't see.
Let's just give him a moment to maybe reconnect.
All right.
Katie, in the meantime, maybe I can help you with just a little bit of insights. I know what you're saying and I hear where you're coming from. It's a very good question, actually. I also get that quite often. ECSA have got a description of your periods. Now, one of the biggest problems that we find with applications is that lots of them overlap. So please, whenever you do your application, make sure that your periods don't overlap. The common explanation for the various periods consists of the following. Number one, when your position have changed, if you move into a higher position, get more responsibility. When a project came to an end and you're starting on a new project, I'm going to park that one because that one is not as simple as that, because you work on various projects during the same time. So be careful of not adding them up together and rather have them, and you can say in your report during that time you were working on the following projects, and have that your period. If you want to do it over a year, you can do it like that. So it's when your position change, when your projects change, and also when you change from one company to another. Those are usually your three standard kind of definitions according to ECSA, which you can put into a period. There are some that creates a period according to a year. You can do that. There's no real limitation on your period, so you know that should also be fine. But I think for the purpose of tracking what you're doing and where you're going, it might be a good idea to look at the projects that you're working on and have that your focus point. Even if you work on a major one, you can still document that and say which are the smaller ones that you worked on. Johan, you agree?
Yes, I agree. And the thing is that you look for the project that you're working on that's the most challenging as far as there's Chris is back.
Sorry about that. The thing just died on me. The electricity.
The most challenging as far as the project is concerned, as far as the difficulty and the technical difficulty, as well as the theory that you had to apply. So it's not necessarily the biggest project. The ECSA assessors aren't blinded by the size of the project in money. We're looking at the technical difficulty and how you've applied your mind. Even if it's a small project, it could be a much more difficult project and a much more challenging project than one worth millions or billions of rands. Thanks.
Okay, can I just come in there? I don't know how much you guys discussed, but it's basically what it comes there is where your period changes, where your project changes and your position in where you're working, or you change a company and your position goes to another position. So that's where your period ends. If you're working for a company for 5 years and you're doing RE work on the one project, it stays 5 years on that. But if you become assistant RE and then all of a sudden you become a RE, that's where your period changes. Your responsibility changes too. I don't know if you discussed that, Johan.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, that's it.
So is it safe to assume, for example, if I'm going to be doing the same job at varying degrees, of course, for the next 3 years, and I decide to apply, that would equal to 1 TER period?
No,
would it be safe
where your position changes and your responsibility changes. For instance, if you start like an assistant RE and you worked, it's a 3-year period, in the project, and you became, after a year, you became a resident engineer, your responsibility changed and your level and degree of responsibility is changed, although it's in the same company, then you change it there. Because if you look at your organogram that you show your position, for instance, is an RE. I mean, assistant RE, you become a RE. And maybe in that time frame of the 3 years, you become the project engineer. So your responsibility has changed. So that will be the periods of changes there too. Because if you're assistant RE, you won't be the same as a RE responsibilities. Okay.
As your time goes on, you will be given more responsibility and higher more and higher level of responsibility. And that is what we're looking for, is the level of responsibility. Do you actually work on a situation where you are given the full delegated responsibility and not tailing after someone else or looking over someone else's shoulder? That is what we're looking for. Even if you're an RE, maybe someone else takes all the responsibility. You're not delegated any responsibility. So look at the level of responsibility, whether you actually qualify on the levels of responsibility that ECSA requires. And they give the levels there. It's A, B, C, D, and E, if I'm correct. Thanks.
That's correct, yes. Okay, does that answer your question, Moketsi?
May I give a scenario where I say,
Yeah.
I foresee myself being in the same position in as far as title is concerned. However, I also foresee myself getting more and more responsibility. So I'm not changing my title. For example, as you gave it an RE to something else. Okay. I am working in a mechanical design office for the next 3 years. That's what I project. I also project that I'll be getting more and more responsibility as I do that. So my question was that, to say how would I then go about dividing those
Okay, well, basically what you will do is, for instance, you get more responsibility. You become, all of a sudden, you become the head of the department or the head of, chief design engineer. And that. So you look at the bottom there, at the bottom of your TER, it's got your degree of responsibility, A, B, C, D, and E. When you get to E, your period changes. If you're doing a D, your period changes. Then you go to E, it changes there. You understand what I'm saying there now?
No, I get what you're saying.
Although you might be working in the same company, but your responsibility, you might say you're the resident engineer, but you were starting at level D. But later on, they give you more responsibility and you come to level E, the degree level of E. That period stops at D and E starts the new period. Okay.
All right. And then my last question, Chris, is that the on-the-job trainings that companies give to of course enhance a person's participation in the company, how important is that on the application? And if my training only consists of formal education, for example, I have a BTech in mechanical engineering. I'm currently doing a postgraduate diploma in project management, and I plan to go do honors and masters in mechanical. That is formal education. If I put it there and only that, without any on-the-job task-specific training, would that count against me?
Yes, no, it won't count against you. You must just look at your IDP form there at the back, your individual training that you've done. Even if you're reading or there's not a CPD recognized, you also put it down there where you get, because a lot of companies do in-house training that also gets recognized there. But once you become registered, you must do CPD courses. Okay.
All right.
Continuous professional. All right. So hopefully that answers all your questions.
No, thank you very much, Chris.
Okay. Who is the next person? You on? Mudibi?
Yeah, I know Mudibi.
Mudibi?
He's on his phone
Mehdi.
there. It says
Yeah.
Mehdi's phone.
Okay, let's go.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
That's it.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me this platform. I'm having a bit of a problem distinguishing between well-defined, broadly defined, and complex problems. Can you please provide a bit of clarity there?
Okay, so I'll just give you, if you look at the RO2, but I'll give you it in a quick summary. Basically what it is, well-defined is somebody who's a technician who he gets given the problem and he uses the codes to do the problem, to solve the problem. For a broadly defined engineering activity is somebody who gets a problem, identifies a problem on his own. He does use the codes, but he also thinks out of the box and he be able to tell why he is thinking out of the box. And he gives a rational design and reasons. Now, complex is for the engineers where they actually design and they've used new techniques to designing. That's basically what it boils down to. But in the RO2, it gives you those questions. You can read through those and you answer those questions and you will be able to define why you got you want to register as a technologist or technician or engineer.
I want to register as a technologist.
Okay, so you go through the broadly defined engineering activities there. What is on page 12, if I remember right? It's on table 2 or 3, something like that. I'm talking out of my head, but you must go and look at the RO2. That will give you a good indication, but also read RO8, which is come back. It's also good guidelines for you to be able to identify what is your problem there, in how to do broadly defined. So remember, it is your guidelines. Guidelines are just guidelines, but you're thinking out of the box to solve the problem. They guide you, but you think further than that. Okay.
Okay, no, thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Mulungisi?
Unmute yourself, Lungisi. Still muted.
Yeah.
Hello, hello everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for the opportunity. So guys, I'm new on this group, so I might be asking a question that has been asked in the past. But
there's doesn't matter. Everybody asks
every time, no problem. You're welcome to ask a question that's been asked 100 times. For you, it's new.
Okay, no, thank you. Basically, I have a BTech, but I have not registered for a PR technician. But now I just want to register as a PR technologist. Now, the question that I have is that when I'm putting together my TRs, do I include experience that I acquired while I was doing, only had a diploma, or do I start right after graduation of the BTech? I'm asking this question because there's actually there's quite a number of years. I mean, after a BTech, I had a diploma for six years, if I'm not mistaken. But after graduating for a BTech, now it's about 5 years. So it's a very long period to put together.
Okay, let me ask. I want to tell you quickly there. Don't register for PR technician, for a technician if you got your BTech. I did it. If everybody looks, I did it. I first registered for technician, and then later on I registered for technologist. But you can, because you got your BTech, I didn't have my BTech then. I did it through the training, experience route. So, but you can do it directly for technologist, but do it from the period you had your diploma. Why I'd say that is because we look at it and we see the progression of experience and how you grew and how you do. Sometimes what happens is while you were doing you had your diploma, maybe 5 years, you're already practicing or already doing technologist work on your own. So this is what we look for. Also, we want to see the progression, how you went. So you do that. At the same time, it helps us also to evaluate all the other documents that you put there and there.
Okay, so there is no limit on the number of TER periods.
No, but just remember, make sure that your document is not more than 50 pages.
I understand.
You know, because as I said, all of us that are assessors and moderators and interviewers, we do this in our own free time, but we do it to ensure that the industry is regulated well, that we get the right people to work in our industry. So that's why we say it's a peer review. And ECSA doesn't pay us fortunes. They just give us a stipends there. So you don't become rich in this. You can never become rich with this. But for a while I'm talking like that, all of you guys that do become registered, think about becoming an also assessor, a moderator, and an interviewer also for ECSA, because we need you guys also. And it's also nice to learn of new techniques that the people are talking about also. We don't know everything, but if there's new systems, we pick it up from the applicants also. Okay.
Okay, no, thanks. Thank you.
Kosi, please take your hands down if you finished talking.
Hi guys.
Yes, hello.
Yes, I just want to pick on something that you just said about 50 pages of the total document. Does that include the portfolio of evidence, or just the writing only? I just wanted to clear that, and I've got another question.
Okay, that includes your annexures, you know, your evidence. Because if you're doing, for instance, you're going to send in a report, you're not going to send the whole report. You're just going to send in maybe your front page and your index and one or two little pages, 1 or 2 pages where you wrote. If you're going to send an email as a evidence of communication or a letter, you're only going to send us 1. You're not going to send us 20 of all the other projects that you've done. You understand that?
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. So your evidence is not going to be a full thing. There's just examples, a few pages. But the criteria is just a few pages. If you're going to do a design, you're going to send in your calculation sheet of one of your designs as an example, and also of your drawing, or you're doing a drawing, what you did there, your communication of one of the examples. You're not going to go and send 20 letters of the same project there. We just want to see what you've done. That's it. You're going to give examples there.
Okay, okay. And I've got a second question. You said outcome 1, 2, 3, 9, and 10 are interlinked. Right, I understand that. I just wanted to check, and you recommended that you use one project for those outcomes. Yeah. Can you pick on other projects on other outcomes, like outcome 4 or whatever outcome?
You can use any other periods for those there if they identify what you have to do. Why we say 1, 2, 3, 9, and 10? It's easy for you as the applicant also to discuss it. Because if you're going to discuss 3 or 4 projects on outcome 1, you're not in the end, you're going to become so nervous. But if you've got one, as I explained to you, there is 1, 2, 3, 9, and 10. They interlink with each other. You don't want to have somebody, you know, that shows your competency. Now 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, you can use another periods on there. That's no problem. But those 1, 2, 3, 9, and 10, that's to do with your design and the problem solving. Because 9 is you're taking a responsibility, you're taking a decision there. 10 is your responsibility of taking that decision.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the reason why I was asking that is that sometimes you get given a design to do, and you do that design, but you don't take it to construction, to completion. You know, you get other designs as well. So
Yeah, but
that's
what
why I
I'm
was
saying
asking.
is that because 9 and 10, you're doing a design. So you're taking how did you do the design? That's where 9 comes in. You're taking basically ownership. 10, you're taking the decision. Basically 9 and 10, you're taking ownership of your design there.
Okay. All right. No, thank you.
Okay. All right. I seen you on. Junior,
Yeah,
you got
Chris.
your hand up. You've been waiting long. It's a bit tiring. Huh?
No. It's actually quite fascinating because there's the longer and the more I listen, the more I start thinking. I just first and foremost, when I just quickly looked, and there's what's the time now? It's now 18:44. Yeah, and there's still 33 participants on, which means one thing to me is that these candidates are really committed. And it's quite refreshing to see that. So I take this opportunity to compliment you and Johan on orchestrating and executing this to this extent. I must say I've been hugely impressed by the questions that's been asked. Moketse's ambition, I've got lots of appreciation for that. And that's the first thing that I want to comment on is that Moketse must just make 100% sure there's very few people that manage, in my knowledge, I'm talking from the engineering side, the BRN side, that manage to get their professional registration within 3 years. Just make sure that you cover all the 11 outcomes, and then you're operating on level E for at least a year. So that's important. That's our first comment. The second comment, Chris, isn't there additional forms that if you have got your diploma and then you got your BTech, that you submit with your submission? I know there's a training experience summary and overview that makes provision for that, because I know ECSA needs to know exactly what you've done since you got your qualification. Although when you got your professional, your PR Tech Eng, that they focus heavily on the last 3 years of your experience. That's my second comment. But the first one, when I actually raised my hand, was this one. And I've always wondered about this, because I take myself, if I had to be a reviewer, I will go to the engineering report first and go through that, because that will give me a nice little window on seeing what's going for what. And then I will go to the TERs to get the more information. Is that a fair statement to make?
Everybody's got a different way, but what I do is I actually read through everything before I go to the engineering report, because the engineering report is the last one that is, to me, that is important. Because if you look at the experience, you try and pick up on the experience, and from there on, you can get it in. Because if you're going to go and look at, to me, if I look at the engineering report, but I don't go and look at the TER, then I've already got a preconceived idea. But if I've got the TER, I've looked at it, and then I look at the engineering report, then I can relate to what the person has said. It works better that way with me, but not everybody does it the same way as me, because I go right from the beginning of the document, the application, I look at their training, or not their training, their diploma or their BTech, what subjects they did, and then I'll work it down. And by the time I get to the engineering report, I've already got a good idea where the person is standing and what he's been trained for. Because sometimes you get the person who's been trained for, he got his BTech in water engineering, but he's doing structures. So you can see the progression of structures, how he went about it. And it helps a lot. And then I also look at the back before I even look at the engineering report to see what training they've picked up in the IDP document, and then I go back and then I do the engineering report at the last bit. Then it gives me a good idea, insight of the person, the applicant, where they are and what they are doing.
Okay, that's fascinating, because I've always wondered about that, and I'm sure everybody's got their own system, and it's nice that you unpacked it that way, because it makes a hell of a lot of sense. So so thank you for that.
Yeah, because what I wanted to say is just one thing about that. If you go and look at your engineering report first, and then you go to then you've got a preconceived idea. But also when you're looking at the training report, the TER, you can see already, okay, the person is actually in construction and how they picked up. And then when you go to the engineering report, you're already starting to formalize what they've been trained. If they're a manager, then they start talking about, as what I've always said, you know, if you're a manager, you look at the designs, then they start talking about their designs, they look at what they identify. It helps. But if you just go to the engineering report straight away, then you've already lost it. But you need all this background together to be able to formulate, to see what experience, because engineering is not just designing in the office the whole time by consultants. We do designing, we do processes, we do methodologies. These are the things that we all do that is forming in engineering. So that's where it helps a lot. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I see engineering as not just sitting in a design office. You're working outside, you're designing something there. You know, you get a problem. How do you solve it on site? And you're the RE. You go back and you design it and you send it to approval, for approval. And you tell them why you did that. Like I had now where I'm working, they had a problem. They've been sitting for 3 weeks there. They couldn't solve the problem. I came onto site and I looked at it and I solved it straight away. And they didn't like it the way I worked, but that's the way I work. Because of my experience that I can look at the problem and solve it. I had previously the same problem, I solved it and I could prove to them why I did that. So that's what we do on site also as REs and resident engineers.
Okay, yeah, no, great. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Just another loose comment. Apart from your initial professional development form, there's also a space where they ask you, do you belong to a voluntary association? And for the candidates and the people that's online, please take note of that. It always looks good if you do belong to a voluntary association, and it shows that you've got some commitment to the industry. So if you're not a member already, please make sure that you become a member of IPED. It really, as Chris was saying, when you go through the full report and you see that there's some commitment, even from belonging to a VA point of view, that's also a good thing that always reflects on it. So just bear that in mind when you get to that stage. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Johan.
Okay, thank you, Johan. To be honest, we've got 9 minutes. I have to stop at 7 because we're going to have LFS, load freaking sharing, and I need to make food still for myself. I'm staying on my own at the moment because I'm on a different site. I'm working the countryside again.
Okay, is there any more questions?
I just want to see there's something in the chat group. Let's just see if there's anything there. Okay, I see Muketsi's written, reach for the stars. If you fall, you land on the clouds. Just remember, you never fail. If you fail, you're 1 step nearer to success. Just remember that always, I tell everybody. And if you don't make it, when you get registered, go for the advisory and listen what the people tell you. But if you follow what I say, I can't guarantee it, but I'm sure you can become registered if you follow and become confident in what you're doing.
And if you're having problems, that is why this group is there. So you can ask your questions and we can try and assist you. And just one one bit of advice. Don't, if you get turned down or get deferred or something, don't just jump at wanting to appeal. Appeal costs you the same or more as a new application. So, and appeals usually is usually not successful. Very seldom that you will be able to be registered through appeal. So don't go that way if you can possibly do it. Rather come to us, let us assist you, let us see how we can give you advice on what to do and what not. We try and do and help you. We can't write your stuff for you because that's not professional, but we can tell you where you've gone wrong and how you should approach the thing to get right. I see Muketsi, he's one of our older members of this group. Muketsi, you've got another question.
Thank you very much, Johan. On the issue of training, I work a lot with, for example, specifying welding sizes and symbols. So how valuable is it if one were to take themselves through online platform training? For example, there's an online education supplier, I guess that's what I would call it, called Udemy, and they provide quite good training on any topic. So could I put that on my TERs?
Yes, you can. Even if it's not accredited by ECSA, it shows the indication is there that you are training and you're learning. You're doing continuous development of yourself.
All right. No, thank you very much, Chris.
And you can also, basically, there is a website that we've got also, that Johan van Skalkwyk is there. There are some courses there that are free. You register and you can do those courses and you can put your also in there. Some of them are accredited, some are not, but you can use that in your IPD.
Muketsi, if I can just quickly highlight for you, look, this website that we're talking about, it's a lot of, I call it disruptive technology, because we're actually going to, well, IPED is going to give access to CPD and other training for free and some at a very low cost. Others you just can't discount, like contracts management, but we're going to grow this thing, and come the end of the year, I set myself a goal of having at least 20 programs on there come the end of this year. We've already done the renewal of professional registration, so I'm working on the cement course. So if there's any topics that you really think you would like me to add, or you could point me in the direction, or whatever your needs are, that's why I've created it. I've created for the industry. Well, IPED and myself has done it, so it's not an I exercise here. And the platform is there open, where people can contribute. Chris is going to contribute to it. Johan's going to contribute to it, and we want to grow that thing massively, to the extent that, you know, we can literally give a proper, affordable service from a CPD and IPD point of view to all IPED members. So that's the aim of it. If I would like to just put it in context for you.
Well, thank you very much, Johan. What is the name of the site?
It's professionalcpd.co.za.
All the courses are available on the. Okay. No, thank you very much.
Yeah, they're on there, but there's a lot still coming. You know, as I said, I was editing the concrete one today, but there's lots more coming. There's all kinds of stuff on there, and all of the these events that John and Chris has organized, they will be all on there as well, for free. So that is there already, but I'm aiming now to get all the other stuff going as well, like how to manage sites, RE, all of those kind of real tangible, really good information. I want to put on there, to the extent, and I wanted to talk to Chris about it, I'm jumping the gun here, and say to him, maybe take his camera or his cell phone with him and record some of the site experiences that he has got there, and then send it through to me. I'll edit it and make it nice and make sure that all the OH&S stuff is in line and all of that, and put that together as a program and put it up there. Look, with modern technology, we can do, quite a bit. And IPETs are committed to modernize the industry from that point of view, which is absolutely brilliant. And that's why I'm quite excited, to be part of this journey.
Thank you very much, Johan.
The big thing we do have is enemy is time for me now. It's a killer.
Okay, it's fine. I'll come and visit you. I'll bring my camera and I'll come and visit you. And I'll record you. Where are you, by the way?
I'm now at the moment in on the south coast near Port Edward. I'm busy working there. I've got another month or two, and then I'm moving back to Joburg for a while, and then I'm moving down to. Then I'm going to do a 3-year contract in Colesberg, Three Sisters, and Richmond. And then I'm also going to work in, up there near Uppington. So I've got about 1,000 kilometers of road that I have to look after.
Okay, I'll definitely come and visit you in Colesberg.
Johan, the question on the chat is it cpd.co.za? No, it's professionalcpd.co.za. Johan, would you like to just put it on there for everybody to see? But we're going to close down now in any case. So we hope to be back in 2 weeks' time. The 18th is not going to suit me. We're probably going to go for the 17th or the 19th and to do the next one. So, yeah.
The 20th I cannot, because I'm doing some for other guys now at the moment.
20th is a Friday. In any case, it's not a suitable day.
Yeah, I'm doing classes for other guys who have been registered. I've got some students I have to look after. Okay, guys, thank you for staying with us. I see we've still got quite a lot of people on the group. For you guys that are SAICI members, Tom has taken all these talks that we've done, and he's edited them and put it on the SAICI website. So if you're a SAICI member, you can go and look at it for free there. But if you're not a SAICI member, you can look at it for free on our website. And anybody can look at it for free on our website. We don't edit it. Tom edits it down. He's been a lecturer all his life, so he does a very good job there, and I must commend him on the job that he's been doing at SAICI. Any case, so, but the point is that we're working together as a profession on this, and to help you guys to get registered. IPET obviously is not only civil engineering. We cater for all professional engineering, all engineering technologists, whether you're professional or not. In other words, if you're not registered yet, you're a graduate, you can join as a graduate for free. Joining is free. We've taken away the application fee, but I must also add that if you are a registered professional, in other words, if you register and you mention in your application that you're an IPET member, you get a discount on your annual ECSA fee, which is higher than your annual IPET fee. If you're registered as a candidate, you also get a discount if you're an IPET member, but it doesn't cover your IPET membership fee of 320 Rand. For a professional, as an IPET member, your membership fee is 550 Rand. But as a graduate, your first year is free, and as a student, you're free. If IPET membership is free. So it pays you to be an IPET member, hands down, because you're getting all this advice for free, whereas in many other places, you have to pay an arm and a leg
and some of your toes for it as well. So thank you, everybody.
Okay.
And if there's any questions, you've got my phone number there. Send me some questions there. I hope to be able to add some of you again onto the groups, but it's just been hectic trying to arrange this education conference, and I haven't been able to put a lot of you on the groups. So apologies for that. Muketsi, I think you're one of them. I saw your name there just now when I looked at my phone, at my iPad phone, and I don't answer that thing. It's that I don't keep it with me, so if it rings, I don't hear it. But you can leave messages there. Thank you.